Hey everyone, welcome to this video lesson on my arrangement of I'll Fly Away in the key of D that I just made up. So first thing I'll tell you is I've tuned my 5th string up to A. The rest is just like an open G, but 5th string's up to A, which is the way I like to play in the key of D. Normally I play this song in the key of G, and you'll probably figure out why when I start singing. But D is a really common key, and this has a lot of nice things to talk about in techniques of playing in the key of D, and actually just up the neck stuff in general. If you want my arrangement in the key of G, unfortunately I'll have to sign up for my Banjo for Beginners course, which I'll link somewhere around here. That's an arrangement I like to teach everyone. It's a little simpler than this. This goes a little bit further away from the melody, but it's not too complicated. We use some chord shapes and yada yada yada. Anywho, I'll play through it, hear how it sounds. We'll talk a little bit about some of these techniques, and then I'll go line by line through the tab. So, some bright morning, yeah, here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Some bright morning when this life is over, I'll fly away to that home on God's celestial shores. I'll fly away. Sure, good enough. I did something weird there at the end. Okay, anywho. So, now, again, reminding everyone that I've tuned my 5th string up to A. We're kind of playing mostly in this position here of like an open D chord. And one thing I'll point your eye to is it's just like when you're playing open G up the neck, you tend to play off of this D chord shape. So that's something to notice. Now, let's talk quickly about the form of this tune and what we're playing. We're playing essentially the melody. The chords are like this. I'll put them up. Some bright morning when this life is over. Sometimes you put a D7 in there. If I'm going to do this D7 here, I like to keep my pinky on the F sharp and do it like that. And then we go to G chord. I'll fly away. Sometimes if I'm in the key of D, I don't like dropping down to this G, so I'll move up to this F-shaped G. I'll fly away. Then we stay on the D to that home on God's celestial shore. Then we have the last line. I, D, A, I'll fly a D. And that's the whole tune. Now the chorus is the same chords. The melody is different in the first half, right? I'll fly away, oh Lordy, I'll fly away in the morning. Then we go back to the last little phrase. When I die, hallelujah, by and by, D, A, D. I think that's what I was trying to go for when I was playing it. Okay, so now just some of the techniques. When you're playing in the key of D, what's nice is these 2 D strings sound really good, so we can hit them all the time. So it's nice to play like forward roll stuff. Right, you'll hear a lot of that, or kind of this 2-finger style. Right, where I'm kind of hitting the 5th and 1st string a bunch. So there's a bunch of that, plus I'm also grabbing more of the chord shapes, right? Like I have D, I have this F-shaped G, and I do this little thing up here on this kind of bar D that we'll get into when we go there. So there's a couple like double stops and stuff that's going on in there. So let's just start this and go line by line through the tab. So this first line sounds like this. Okay, so a couple things. Playing the melody, right? Some bright morning. Nice to have that hammer on up from that B string. Sometimes people find that double stop right on beat 1 a bit weird, so that's nice. Okay, then I'm using my middle finger here to go back up to the F. When this life is over. Now, here I kind of changed the rhythm just because I wanted to use a forward roll. When this life is over. So I don't have to sing all the words, so you can change the rhythm up a little bit. So this is just a forward roll. Now, this little line is kind of a bit weird, but I just wanted to get down so that I could come to this G chord here on the B note. So I just kind of go down. brings me right here for the G. Now I do a little bit of a hammer on, so this is the second line here, and we're going into this F shape of the G. Okay, so one more time. Going into this G shape, I often do this, especially because my middle finger was here. It's tough to bring it up and get this, so I'm using first finger to hammer on, F shape, forward reverse roll. Third finger comes down to get this E note. Now that's like, it's kind of a simplification of this. But I wanted that E note that's bent a little bit. I wanted to put that on an offbeat, so I just get it with my index finger. Back to the D note. Now here's a little lick that I like to do when I'm on a D, which is something I often do on a guitar. This is also kind of a lick. And I give a little bend on that one too. I don't know if I wrote that down. So those are both usable licks when you're on the key of D. You can just throw them in anytime you have a D. And one thing I'll also mention here with both of these licks, the D note is this one here. I'm grabbing with my middle finger here, sometimes with my first, but middle if I'm thinking like that. That note is the same as the open D, right? So any of these licks you could start on either this note or this note. So for example, I could go, or if I got that high note, right, I'm just kind of using that second one starting on the high D. Okay, going on to the third line, which is the same melody note, but now I'm way down here, so I wanted to like do the melody down the neck. Some bright morning, which is where I'm singing it. So I start with that. Some bright. Now I can't go morning to that low note, so I jump up the octave. So here we go. Okay, so here are just a couple things, right? Melody pinches 2 fingers because we don't want that open B in there. Hammer on here. That double stop with the hammer on. Now here, my middle finger here is in this D shape, and I'm gonna move up to this D shape here. That's like the bar shape D. And I'm doing it in a weird way because what I wanna do is I only want these top 2 notes, 7 and 7, but I'm gonna bend the 6 so it starts to get close to that 7. And I generally don't wanna go all the way, I could. Or that was a little further. But you could just kind of bend towards it. You get these kind of train sounds. And then the idea here is I move it up 2 frets to this, what essentially is a G chord, G, D, right? So if you can see the chords here, this is kind of bending up to that, but then I have this D-shaped G and the bar-shaped D. So I'll just do those last the 2 bars here. Keeping that bend held. Bam, bam, forward roll. Right? Now this last line, let me do that one time. Often I like to put triplets in there. If it's fast enough. Okay, the last line here. Now, the melody, fly away. Right? And we have a D chord, A chord, fly away. Right? So I'm going that way, but I wanted to add a bit more chromaticism in there. So one thing I'm doing is I'm kind of starting on this D, and I'm going to hammer on to that note, and then I wanted to go to this note, but I'm going to circle around it. So instead of getting, it might be easier to even think in like tabs. So instead of getting 5, I circle around it by going 6, 4, 5, right? And that's what I'm doing. I'm adding some chromatic notes into this line instead of we get right, and a little bluesy bend at the end. Okay, so this is how this line sounds. 2, 3, 4. That again because I did something kind of weird. I want to actually do it with these 2 fingers, and the reason is because when I end on this last D, I want my first and third finger to be there. So here we go. I'm gonna go hammer on here, which is often I play the top 2 notes of this bar shape with those fingers. There's a bit of a stretch, but I keep my third finger there. Back. Right, and you could do it with the other fingers, but then we drop down to this D. Now you'll notice often we play the D this way, but because I want to do this leg, I'm gonna want my first finger there so I can stretch that pinky up there. And this, everyone kind of learns this in the key of G. And now we're just doing it on a D. It's a bit further of a stretch, but it's the exact same thing. And I just have that kind of walk down the scale. Anyways, last line looks like this. And then I walk down. Nice. Okay. So that was my quick I'll Fly Away arrangement in the key of D. I hope you like it. I think it's kind of nice. Some easy ideas to move and put into different places. That's one of the reasons I did this one. So the last thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to play through with the tabs nice and slow so you can see my fingers, you can hear what's going on. Tabs are right there. Tabs are in the video like you've noticed, but if you do want a PDF of them or you just want to support me because you like these things that I'm doing, please consider supporting me on Patreon. There'll be a link below. That said, let's just play through it nice and slow. A 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sure. All right, hope you enjoyed this. Till next time. Bye.